Speaking of the Unshakable Conference, it's starting next week. On Sunday, we're going to have people coming from different places in the world, and they're going to be preaching at Abundant Life. So it's going to be starting November 1st through the 4th. Gustavo Paez is going to be there. We're going to have Sammy Rodriguez. He's going to be there. We're going to have Ron Carpenter. We're going to have Jesse Duplantis. We're also who else are we going to have, Dr. Chapa?
Those are the only ones that I recall.
I can't think of Wednesday.
Yikes.
Unless I said them all. How many people did I say?
You said Gustavo.
Gustavo.
You said, Jesse, Carpenter, and Sammy.
Yeah, that's all of them. I was like, is there more? Obviously, Pastor Halm's going to be there and other people as well. So
Yes. So
we're going to have to get you there.
Oh, yeah, well, I believe Monday, Carpenter, and Tuesday, Jesse Duplantis. I'm registered to attend, so we'll see how my schedule works out. See if I might be a little late, but I'm going to definitely squeeze in. I've heard great things about Carpenter before. Hadn't heard him. Wanted to hear him last year and just missed it. But any time I get a chance to catch in with old Jesse Duplantis, I want to get me a little Jesse time. So he's a great preacher, and a great minister, and just a fantastic faith builder for people that are walking and talking new in the faith, or that are deep in the faith, or just need a little boost in faith. I mean, that man can really rock the house. I enjoy listening to him.
Get some laughter. It's like medicine, right?
It is.
The Bible says it.
And it is. It's funny. Somebody texted me this morning and asked, they needed some scripture ideas for something that they were putting together. And the thing that came up for me was, look up the passage that says, about laughter's a merry medicine, and you could take that forward into attitude is a choice. And, if you walk around glum, if you walk around angry, if you walk around frustrated, if you walk around agitated, irritable, people can see it. People can feel it. You can literally change the tone in a room just by bringing a level of your personal disposition into a space and making it better than you found it. It's just the old saying, always leave a place better than you found it. And I think that goes with your attitude as well. And attitude's a choice. Success is a choice. And health is a choice. Life is a choice. We have the life and death is in the power of the tongue. We speak forth good things, or we can speak forth deathly things. And I think that we always got to remember, who we are is a product of the books that we're reading, the people we're associating with, and the people that we listen to, our social circles. And they say that you're a product of the top 5 people that you hang around with, or the books you read. And I'm fascinated that stuff really does rub off on us. I mean, how influenced we are as a culture, and we have to be mindful of who we're around on the regular. So I look at opportunities like this absolutely to get into rarefied air. I was just looking at a meme the other day, and it had a eagle and a crow attacking the eagle, and it said in the caption that a crow is the only bird that's audacious enough to try to attack an eagle. But interestingly enough, the eagle doesn't do anything to ward off the eagle's attack. He just flies higher, and it suffocates the bird because he can't go as high as the eagle can, and he just falls off. And that's what we need to do, is stop worrying about the ankle biters and the naysayers and the negativity that surrounds us, and just rise higher. And when we're followers of Christ, and when we're in the kingdom of heaven, we're not defined by a lot of the stuff here in the world. We're defined, in the heavens. And so we need to keep our eyes set and fixed, and our heart's affections fixed on the Lord, and we will rise higher and higher, and we will begin to become light for Jesus into a dark world that is confused, that is lost, that is still looking for hope, and that is still, I hate to say, trying to take God out of the conversation and the equation, but he is the conversation and the equation. And those of us that are light bearers for Jesus, we got to just keep promoting and keep sharing and keep living a life worth sharing, so we can share a life worth living. And that only comes through Jesus Christ, man. Was that John 14:6? I'm the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me, Gardy. Or not through Aaron, but I mean through Jesus.
In the Bible,
that
the
was
scripture.
Jesus is talking.
Yeah.
Just make sure that was red lettered, not chocolate lettered. So
Yes.
anyway, well, good morning, man. Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, KEA Radio is here to share some insight and good news with all you folks, and hope everybody's doing well today. What's been going on in your world, man?
So let's see. Just been getting back into my routine of things, and I feel good. I feel healthy. I'm excited to be alive and spread positivity another day. This week is stacked. I don't know. I tagged Living Well, but all the interviews that I have lined up this week, and there's like at least 3 more.
I've seen a lot of things that you've been
yeah.
posting up on different interview people coming on the air. So that's great news, man.
Mm-hmm.
And then y'all are out in the public doing quite a bit of different,
A ton.
interactions with other businesses and helping them promote their organizations. And it's important right now. I mean, geez, life's been silent, but I think everybody's got high hopes that 2021 is going to be a great year, and we can get through the rest of this last quarter. So let's keep it moving on up.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out how to expand and keep our quality and everything that we're doing, but being in multiple places at the same time and just doing more. So trying to scale, but doing it in a way that makes sense. And you as a business owner and building your team for years, and it's strategic.
Just time in the saddle, and it's an ongoing evolution of how to keep evolving through the changes, especially with technology racing forward. I mean, it's just very difficult to keep up with it if you're not in it day in and day out, and then still take care of the things that really need to be taken care of. For me, we take care of patients. The vision and goal of Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center is to get sick people well without drugs and surgery. And we want to teach people how to live better, be better, stay better, one bite at a time. So at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, if you need help in the realm of a symptom, a diagnosis, a health challenge, we want to encourage you to reach out. 281-554-8600, or visit our website at justlivewell.com. We got great health surveys. We got some great information up there about detox. We got great information about what it is that we actually do at our office to find out how to turn over all the different stones in your health and figure out a place for you to start moving in a lift-off direction, a better direction, and help you through the challenges that you're going to be faced with living. I mean, because it isn't easy to just, say that you can put your health in idle or neutral and expect it to be where you want it to be in 5 years, much less 25 years, much less the end of your life. And I always propose the question, what do you want your life to look like after you've done built it? You've got to have that foresight and be looking down the road, because if you have the genetic potential to make it to 125 fully functional in spirit, mind, and body, which science has proven it is possible, are you doing what is necessary to maximize that genetic expression? So that's one of those. It's not going to just happen by happenstance, that you're going to make it that far. And some people would even make the case that, I could do all the right things and still get hit by a truck tomorrow. You're right. When it's your time to go, brother or sister, it's your time to go. And God knows our expiration date, but we should be not looking like we have an expiration date as much as what can we stack into the expiration date. So I was listening to a guy speak the other day, and his name is Mark Victor Hansen, and he was talking about how to think bigger than you ever thought you could, and that you have to be a forward thinker. I call it future pacing language, where you're thinking about setting new goals always, every year. And people go, I don't like setting goals. Well, that's okay. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't just because you don't like it. It's an exercise. I mean, it's a challenge, and it stretches your imagination. And you may go back and look at last year's goals and realize you still hit 25, 30, 40 of your 100 goals that you wrote for 2020. And even through the chaos of it. But when you go back and you look at what you set out to accomplish, and that you did accomplish quite a few things, man, that's just fuel for the fire for your system to move forward motivationally and to take one more step in a direction that helps you live and be more influential. And those people out there that feel good, Gardy, they are more productive than people that are low energy and just kind of bummed out and bottomed out. And so I want to be surrounded by high energy people. I want to be surrounded by excellence. I want to be surrounded by, a team that helps promote similar, interests that I have, because I want to be like eagles, flying with eagles, not like crows that are just nipping at the heels of an eagle, trying to, backbite them and sabotage them. I just want to rise higher. And so I just encourage people, be mindful of who you're around and what you're reading and what you're listening to, and make sure that you plug in to positivity and inspiration, and push yourself to be better than you've been. Every day that you choose health is every day that you can be a little bit more productive and a little bit more motivated and a little bit more courageous to do great and mighty things for your family, for your future, for Jesus. And I think that is a great trio to build upon.
So this morning, we are going to be talking about, and continuing our talk from last week, 5 things that you can do today, starting today, to improve your immune system. And this is strategically the month, talking about this month, during the month of October. The 31st is this Saturday. And
I know.
Did you look outside? There's a lot of candy bags being stuffed.
I saw it. I'm going in. I mean, it's nuts. And last week we talked about avoid the 3, 4, 5s, the 3 whites, the 4 deadly food additives, and the top 5 inflammatory foods. So make sure if you missed that to tune in to our YouTube channel or iTunes or Spotify and look up last week's show, because it was fantastic. There was a lot of great commentary I got from my patients coming into the office. They really enjoyed the show. And it's a good reminder, that things that I find that are simple are still, to many people, a good reminder of good health practice. And so today we're going to just kind of keep moving forward. The foundational trio. Archimedes said that if you give me a place to stand, I can move the world. And we want to give you a solid foundation of health to stand upon. And that foundation comes through vitamins, minerals, and essential fatty acids. So last week we were avoiding things that derail our health, because what you eat is important, but what don't eat is more important, and that's why we talked about those 3, 4, 5s to avoid. And now we're talking about the foundational trio for which building good health upon comes, and that comes through multivitamins, multiminerals, and essential fatty acids. Vitamins, by and large, they provide a required ingredient for good health, for necessary processes. And so when we look at the general body support, if you don't have a good base of vitamins coming in, you might be building your health on quicksand, and it's going to fall apart. It's just a matter of time. Or when stresses reach that pinnacle, you don't have the rock, if you will, of a good, healthy foundation to manage the stress that is inevitably going to hit us all. But how your body responds to it is how we measure the productivity or the success of that stressful attack. I've seen people that the stressful attack wasn't a bad tragedy. It was a promotion in job. But they just had such a steep learning curve in the new promotional realm that it crashed their health because they didn't have the foundation. And so we've got to remember, where does the foundation start? When we look at, minerals, we know that minerals, I've always talked about it being like an electrical outlet. You plug in to an electrical power source to power up the studio, to power on the building. And so minerals are how your body plugs into energy sources so that things run and effectively move your body in a positive direction, or detoxify your body, or strengthen your immune system. And going into the sugar quarter, this last quarter is all full of sugar, not just Halloween, but November treats and December treats and all the different parties and festivities and all the good food that people love to indulge in. I look at it and just go, whew. Hang on to your booties, folks. It's going to be cold out there if you're not careful, and you might be catching that cold. And we look at vitamins and these minerals as a way to buffer the insults that these negative foods have health-wise on our bodies. And so, we maintain healthy pH balance, we maintain healthy brain function, we maintain the body's ability to detoxify, to regenerate muscle tissue just through vitamins and minerals. And it is amazing. But the sad truth is in this case, not what you eat is important, but what you don't eat is more important. It's what people aren't eating. They're not eating vegetables. They classify fruits and vegetables together, and fruits and vegetables oftentimes is translated into just fruit, and all they're consuming is a fruit candy on top of all their processed food and junk foods. And we've got to remember that the average American is eating less than 3 servings of vegetables a week, and of those vegetables that they're grabbing hold of, oftentimes is devoid, missing, inadequate, inefficient in vitamins and minerals. They estimate that the grounds that a lot of these commercialized crop are growing have less than 5 minerals that our body desperately needs access to in the soil. And when you look at some of the healthy organic master gardening and that they talk about, there's 60 to 75 different minerals in the soil, and the soil that is providing nutrients to the plant, and the plant is then providing nutrients to us. And so if we're missing out on, I would say better part of 90% of the vitamin and mineral concentration in the soil, how could we expect to build grand temples? And our temple is being the body. How can we build health if we don't have the resources to build it? And that comes through knowing your food supply. And so if a cup of spinach today is worth, I guess a cup of spinach back in the 1920s is worth 40 cups of spinach today, what if the statistic is half right? Because sometimes what we've learned, if anything, we've learned in 2020, can we really trust any statistic? And Lord knows at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, the last thing we want to do is be throwing around numbers that are just made up on the fly. We want you to have good information to make good, healthy choices, folks. And that's my premise. Is I've been even concerned in the past of ever being on a radio show or having a platform to share a message because I didn't want to give bad information. And I've just come to a place where I know what I know is right, and I know beyond a shadow of a doubt it can serve you and help you if you're willing to integrate it into your realm and into your world. And it'll bless you, it'll bless your kids, it'll bless the generations beyond, because you're giving them, a place to stand on. Again, education is absolutely a key on a key ring. The more education you get, the more doors you can open up. And man, don't you want to not just be successful? Don't you want to be healthy and successful? Don't you want to have a healthy marriage, be successful, and have healthy kids? You know what I mean? It's like we want. There's more to the conversation of success than just money. Although it's nice to have it, but man, not good whenever you spend all of your health to attain wealth in the beginning of your life, only to find in the end you spend all of your wealth to attain just a little bit of health. Let's not be those people. At Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, we're constantly pushing you into this trio and into this conversation of looking at food as fuel, so that when you're putting things into your body, you're putting things in that are nourishing, that are strengthening, that are going to give your body the ability to regenerate, to detoxify what your body doesn't need, and you're able to move forward in a positive, productive way where you can maximize the expression of your phenotype genes so that you look great, feel great, perform great all the days of your life, and what you put into a day is fruitful. Man, that sounds great to me. Doesn't that sound great to you, Gardy?
It does.
I mean, I could just sit there and just sit on that for a while. But on we go. Let's keep moving. So what's the third part of the trio? We got vitamins. We got minerals. What's the third one? Do you know?
I don't. I'm going to have to look at your paper
cheat
over
sheet?
there. Yeah. I'm gonna look over there. What is it?
It's essential fatty acids.
I knew
People
that.
underestimate the power of a good, healthy fat, because fats have been demonized since the late 70s, early 80s, well into the 90s. And people today are still brainwashed that fat is a bad thing, that if fat causes strokes, that fat causes heart disease, and it causes us to be fat, and all this other bad jargon that people have been throwing around inappropriately. And I'm not saying that you can't overindulge in any type of these nutrients, but the reality is nobody is, and the fats that people are putting into their body, these synthetic, these fake fats, these processed, adulterated fats, these are inflammatory, and people are walking around right now with what we call a measurement that we have in the office for omega-6 to omega-3 fat ratios that are in proportion to what their health level should be. So they should be 6-1, or actually should be a little bit lower than that, but the average person coming in is 17-1 or 35-1. And this is a scary statistic, because if your inflammatory cascade is flip-flopped, that means you have too much fire in your body. Your cells are burning up, wearing out. It's like driving a car with no radiator. The engine will burn up. It's like not changing your oil filter and wondering why the car only lasts 30,000 miles when it should have lasted, 200,000 miles. Well, if you don't take care of the thing, it's not going to perform well. If you don't take care of the body and you let it burn up and wear out, you're going to experience a state of accelerated aging where you have fatigue all day long. You have mental burnout by 10 a.m. in the morning, where you're reaching for stimulants. You're reaching for rocket fuel. You're reaching for unhealthy ways to keep your body going till 5 o'clock until you can check out. And then you got to repeat that process, wash, rinse, wash, rinse, wash, rinse every day for the next 20, 30, 40 years until you can hit that retirement level. Oh, that's just a scary thought. Like how can they're thinking, I can't make it. I mean, I got migraines and I got belly pains and I got heart issues and I've got skin issues. And I sit and I look back and a lot of this stuff is self-induced. We pray for God to heal us, but we're not willing to put forth any effort. We want the handout. We've got to be careful. I'm all about, God delivered miracles, and God did. But oftentimes when Jesus would perform miracles, there was a lesson to be taught. When he was healing, the person with the lame or bum, withered hand, he said, your sins have been forgiven you, which then shocked the people. And the people were like, oh, heresy, how does he do this? And he goes, is it easier for me to say, your sins are forgiven, or is it easier for me to make this hand come alive? Hand come alive, and boom. Or the man that was brought in on the stretcher from the ceiling because his buddies were so kind enough. Number one, I want some buddies like that'll take me to the master's table and will tear open the roof to get me in front of him. And man, what kind of faith did those guys have, right? They knew that something powerful and amazing was going to happen if we could just touch the hem of the garment, so to speak, and let the master do his work. But he said, your sins are forgiven. First, there was oftentimes a miracle, but there was a message, right? And I think that oftentimes our message that we are forgetting is that a lot of our problems are self-induced. It's our life, it's our health, it's our choice, and we make it. Now, there is unfortunate, there is tragedy. I got it. I get it. Please, I totally understand. But understand, too, the other side of that coin is majority often of the time, it's, I don't want to say it, it's on you. Guardy, it's on you to make the choice. It's on you to drink the fluids. It's on you to put the right fluids in. It's on you to get the foundation and to understand where are you getting your vitamins and your minerals and essential fatty acids. I mean, the American Journal of Medicine is finally making reference to the idea that taking a multivitamin is important. Do you realize that? We've been preaching this stuff since 1908 that it's important, and they're just now publishing in the quote unquote papers. Give me a break, dude. I mean, all life starts and stops at the cellular level, and nutrition is the fundamental backbone that allows the body to blossom or to spiral off out of control. I'd rather it to blossom and to be beautiful and to be magnificent and give me an opportunity to give glory to the Lord in my health, right? And so I just talk about these things because I don't want you to demonize fat. I don't want you to underestimate the power of the need for vitamins and minerals. And so we use fish oils, and we use different types of fish oils, everything from sardines to mackerel to tuna to calamari to even plant-based oils for the vegetarian types, the people that are just really for whatever reason willing to utilize animal fats. And so we teach people how to get the cells to decrease inflammatory responses. So we use this test to measure inflammatory processes in the body through fats. And fat regulation is a huge thing because every cell membrane, every tissue, every organ in your body has a layer of fat around it. And that fat improves the communication. It protects what's inside the cell for better communication when the brain says go. It does what it's supposed to. When the hormones say activate, the system does what it's designed to do. And so ultimately, vitamins, minerals, and essential fatty acids are foundational to any good health program. And we love talking about triads, so we leave it in the realm of a triangle. The multivitamin is its own standalone, multi-minerals a standalone, and essential fatty acid conversations, and they are in every program that we build. It's not always the same vitamin or same mineral. We use different products based on people's solutions and where we want to emphasize, a case as opposed to just a kind of a catch-all or one-size-fit-all protocol. And so the foundational trio is just that spot that gives you the great rock to stand on from a health perspective. And I think that's just cool. That's cool news that there is a way, So then we look at, again, so last week we talked about things to avoid, and then we just talked about number 2, the trio. Now we look at food, real food versus frankenfood. What I call make-believe food leads to what?
It leads to make-believe health.
Make-believe health, Gardy. I mean, who wants make-believe health?
I do like make-believe, but not when it comes to health.
That's right, because what might it look like, right? You might look like, pretty on the outside because you've got all the technology and to buy, the pretty, but your health inside is deteriorating. You've got, issues with lymph nodes. You've got issues with, energy. You've got issues with sleep. You've got symptoms that you are dealing with internally, even though you can cover it with a coat of paint or you can cover it with some sort of surgical intervention. We're not looking to do that. We want to give your body the inside job to allow the expression of health to come out on the outside. That's fun. That's exciting.
So it's like I shouldn't get those like the abs, like the surgery, so I don't have to eat the right food and work out. I could just get the implants and I'm good to go.
I mean, you probably shouldn't, but I've heard that they have calf implants, they have butt implants. I mean, you might as well. I mean, you could do it all. I mean, you could be like a Frankenstein type, creation here in the modern era.
I better cancel this
Yeah.
consultation then if that's not a good idea.
It's definitely risky business. Risky business. Living well stands for getting sick people without drugs and without surgery, and we want to teach you how to do it differently. And because it's more sustainable.
Real foods.
Yeah, real foods. 70% of your diets should be made up of vegetables. We should be striving for 3, 4, 5 servings of veggies a day. And again, average is 3 a week. And I think that's a scary number or a scary thought.
I mainly eat meat, Dr. Chapa. I'm not going to lie.
Like you're on the carnivore diet?
I was. Remember before the cleanse at the beginning of the year, I did that. I did the carnivore diet, and then I went on the detox, which was like the exact opposite of that, just to see how I did.
Oh, and so here's the cool thing, right? I think keto, I think paleo, I think the carnivore diet, they're tools, right? I think that ultimately we need to be as balanced as possible when it comes to our diet, and that comes through healthy amounts of protein, healthy amounts of fats, and a good, a healthy amount of carbohydrate, in our macros. But I think that there's seasons where we got to be a little bit more strict to pull our ship back on course because we're off course. I mean, think about when a storm comes in life, we buy up the fake food because it's high in preservative and it lasts forever.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever it comes to realizing that the storm is gone and you're still eating the carbs and the refined sugars and the additives and the processed foods, all of a sudden you've got to start recognizing temporary tool for a temporary situation. So we use diets too as a tool to help move people on to a better platform. Again, working that foundation from a food source. Because when you look at vitamins, minerals, and essential fatty acids, they're all under the heading of a supplement. Supplement, by definition, supplements a healthy foundational diet.
Supplementing your food.
It's supplementing what your food can't provide. So if the average food source only has 5 minerals in the soil, and so therefore you're not getting the robust variety of minerals and vitamins from your food, then you've got to supplement those extras in there. But you can't just live on pills alone. I mean, some people probably think that I do because I typically have baggies fulls of pills, but the reality is I also eat a lot of vegetables throughout the day. I eat a healthy amount of protein throughout the day. I get my fats earlier in the day. I mean, I'm playing games with my diet, but I'm also looking at my macros and things like that, and I'm looking at, I'm right on point with a Mediterranean style diet, where I'm getting a variety of nutrients from a variety of sources, and then I supplement really well to fill in the gaps. And I pray that those are those are the compass that I have found and my mentors have found to live vibrantly all their lives. And I'm learning more and more every day how powerful a diet is, and seeing, all right, we use this diet to pull this diabetic back on course. We use this diet to help this blood pressure case resolve. We use this diet to decrease inflammation so that skin issues start to resolve. We use this diet to boost up energy and help satisfy blood sugar needs and that cause a decline in energy and brain fog. And it's fascinating to me. And people oftentimes feel discouraged because they can't stick to things 100%, but that's okay. You don't have to be 100% accurate every time, all the time. You can just do the best you can to start every day right. It could be as simple as start with breakfast. People today have just thrown breakfast to the wayside, and they forget how important that it has been scientifically documented, proven that people that eat breakfast have more efficiency and more brain power throughout their day by 3 or 4 in the afternoon than people that skip that meal. And I'm all about intermittent fasting, but I'm all about intermittent fasting in the evening as opposed to the morning. Why? Because the brain needs a bath, and if you put all your food in later in the day, which most of the intermittent fasters do, because the excuse and rationale is, I'm too busy because I stayed up too late watching a show or doing whatever they're doing, and they don't get the sleep they need, so they busting out the sheets, trying to race to their next first appointment, and so they say, well, I'll just intermittent fast and I'll just suck down coffee and fat until 12 o'clock. And then they eat, on that backside of the day. And it could work, and it does work, and it has worked. However, it's a tool. It's not something we want to do long time. Your liver's most active between 1 and 3 in the morning. So if you cut the food later in the day, there's nothing in the digestive tract that is overhauling a lot of your biological energy, and your body can then, in that first hour to 2 to 3 hours, activate the brain bath response, where the brain gets its bath, the lymphatics of the brain kick in and then wash the brain off of any of its stuff, and then the filing process comes in, systems come in, and you put yesterday's new information into long-term storage, and now you can recall it tomorrow and the next day and the next and the next, and you have a sharp mind that's ever evolving and getting sharper, better, more crystal, and that's a fun place to be. So we oftentimes, you got to remember that, today's world, we're also overindulging in fake food in the realm of carbohydrates. We eat way too many carbs. We have, essential amino acids that come from protein. We have essential fatty acids that come from healthy fats. There is no such thing, Gardy, as essential carbohydrates.
Nothing good comes from it?
I mean, I hate to say. Now, does that mean that it's a part of the macros? How can it not be perfect or good for us or a foundation? I'm not saying that you're not going to get it. I mean, your vegetables have carbohydrates in it, right? It's just whenever we fry things or we process the dressings and they have all these adulterated substances and preservatives in it, it becomes an inflammatory substance that creates fire in the body that offsets our ratio of good healthy fats, that stresses our vitamin mineral load, and now we're deficient. And that deficiency causes our body to be in a state of decline. We've got to be mindful of those processes. So the body can make glucose from protein, so we'll find carbs. Your body will find them, I assure you. Fats are not evil, like been promoted, but sugar, however, is. Insulin is the real culprit. There's the real devil here. And when we spike our insulin levels through an overabundance of useless carbohydrates and or fake sugars, cookies, candies, cakes, ice cream, wheat, and then tortillas and chips and corn and all the fun stuff that people love to consume, those things drive insulin levels up, and that insulin level becomes an inflammatory gas fume on a fire, or a lighting of more inflammatory responses in the body. So essential amino acids are just that. They come from our protein sources, and then our essential fatty acids come from healthy fats from our diet that we have to get from an external source, not something that our bodies can make on its own. But your body can make sugars as it needs. And you actually, fantastic stat, or just a fact, that is that you've got more hormones that are driving your blood sugar up, 5 in particular. You have 1, insulin, that drives blood sugar down. And so we look at our society, and diabetes is at an all-time high. Heart disease is at an all-time high. Brain dementia issues are all-time high, which brain dementia, Alzheimer's, are classified as diabetes type 3, advanced aged diabetic blood sugar dysregulation. You see diabetes type 2 running rampant. They don't even call it type 1 anymore. Child onset. It's just diabetes, because we can damage our insulin pathways. And so this all comes through an abuse of sugar spiking through our diets. And if you look at the babies that we are, raising up, they're all raised on fruits. They're all raised on fake, formulas. They're all, which is, just chemically built, powders. And again, frankenfoods, you're only as good as the food that you can absorb. And we've got to get better quality food in, so that when we're building the temple, man, that thing doesn't crater and crack under the pressure of life, and the pressures of the environment, and the pressures of our gene code, and the pressures of our lack of food providing what we need. We've got to be able to have a strong foundation. And so food is a big, big conversation to have, and we deal with it more and more, helping people see what they eat is important, but what they don't eat is more important. What foods can they avoid that is on their diet? What foods can we eat? I looked at a food log yesterday, and the person lost weight, but my gosh, they weren't eating anything. I mean, you got to eat. We're not trying to starve people. Weight loss is not locking yourself in a closet and coming out thinner and trimmer, but you feel, terrible, right? That's not healthy weight loss. We want to see the waistline change. We want to see the energy continue to go up, the mental clarity go up. We want to see muscle strength improve. We want to see metabolism get better. That's what we call health, and that's what we're helping people see through their diet. And we can see that when the people have bring their food log in, we check it. We look at it. Is it just a homework assignment that we don't check? And we want to see, what are they doing to make their health better, or what are they doing to accelerate their health decline? And this all comes through evaluation and things that we do at our office. So remember, if you got questions, we want to be your number one health and wellness resource for all your alternative needs when it comes to your health, your family's health, or your future's health, your future generation's health. And so at Living Well, give us a jingle at 281-554-8600, or visit our website at justlivewell.com. And so, all right, we're talking, 5 things you can do. We've got the things we can avoid, what we call the 3 whites. We talked about the 4 deadly food additives, the top 5 inflammatory foods. We talked about the foundation, vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids. We talked about food and frankenfoods. Let's move into my next and most favorite conversation, Gardy. You're going to love this one. You know it's coming.
I see it coming. What is it?
Oh, my gosh. We're going to talk about your bowels. We're going to talk about poop, yes, for the next moment. And please understand, we're not trying to offend you here. We're trying to educate you. You can determine the quality of your health and the vitality that you're going to have throughout the day by assessing how your bowels move. And so my favorite question to ask, I love asking the question. It's sad to ask it here because I can't see the expression on your face as you're cruising down the blacktop or if you're listening in your office. But are you having fawn-colored fluffy floaters about a foot long? Ha ha. That's it. Fawn-colored. What is that, Dr. Chapa? That's a color. And fluffy floaters about a foot long. We want to see healthy bowels moving all throughout the day. 1, 2, 3 times a day. 3 times is best. But sometimes people are only finding that they're having a bowel movement once a day, and they think that's okay because I said 1 time a day is okay. Except what time of day are you having a bowel movement? And they say, oh, I'm having it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm having it at 6 o'clock in the evening. Well, you're late because your bowels are most active between 5 and 7 in the morning after your liver has done all of its detoxification. It's got everything positioned to go into the sewer and for your sewer to be evacuated first thing in the morning so that you're not carrying around all that excess dead weight, so to speak, throughout the day. Doesn't that sound good? To get rid of the stuff that you don't need early so that you start your day fresh with very little baggage. They estimate right now the average American has got 10 to 15 caked up, dirty, rotting foods inside their bowels at any given time. 10 to 15 meals caked up inside of them. That could be from like 4 or 5 days ago, depending on how many meals you eat a day. Isn't that weird? If I took a steak and I put it in your oven, or a piece of meat and put it in your oven at 100 degrees and left it there for the next 72 hours, would you be happy with me? Probably not.
No, I don't think so.
It'd probably smell, right? It'd probably look really nasty. It'd probably ruin even the pan that it's sitting in, right? Well, our body temperature is 98.6 degrees. That's almost 100 degrees. And the difference between your oven and the difference between your body is you've got microbes that are in there percolating and feeding on this slow-moving race towards your exit channel. And what happens is that stuff begins to putrefy, begins to rot, and becomes a burden to your digestive tract. And so the speed at which bowel movements happen, it should be approximately every 16 to 18 hours a meal should be processed through, depending on what you ate. And that's the standard, protein and fat and starch that people consume. If it's prunes and you have an empty bowel, everybody knows prunes are well known to move your bowels. That could come through inside of an hour and 18 minutes. And people go, wow, that's pretty crazy. And so I'm talking like prune in, prune out, hour and 18 minutes should be about its time frame if you have a clean bowel. And the only way I've ever been able to get to that place is I had to do a 34-day juice feast where I consumed about 1 gallon to 1.5 gallons of juice freshly squeezed every day. And I would then turn at the end of that time frame, I gave my body what's called a solid food vacation, and I gave myself this vacation in hopes that I would arrive at a place where the prune program, the prune test would last, would run through my system in 1 hour and 18 minutes. And that was kind of a fun thing. So if you eat prunes right now, you're not going to see prunes come out in 1 hour and 18 minutes because there's a traffic jam. Remember, there's 10 to 15 meals caked up inside of them. When John Wayne died, the famous actor, he had over 34 pounds of fecal waste built up inside of his bowels. That's scary. He wasn't having fawn-colored fluffy floaters about 1 foot long. He was having hard, dry pellets. He was constipated. He was struggling to have a bowel movement. I am shocked at the number of people that come into my office that have constipation challenges. Their bowels are so sluggish that things aren't moving through in a healthy way. And again, I know this is a dirty topic, but there's a conversation to be had with because 80% of all life starts, and your bowels are the critical mass point. If your bowels aren't moving, if the dude don't move, the dude don't groove, Gardy.
You see it on the back of my chair?
Oh, I see
Sneaking in these shots over here.
I see it. I'm digging it. And so when we look at the stress load, other factors that cause the bowels to slow down, when the average American is so stressed out, that literally they're full of it because their body is dealing with so many other like urgent stressors that the bowels get kind of pushed off to the wayside. Just by nature of your fight or flight response, you shut off a lot of communication to the bowel. And I had a guy one time come in, and he was a high-level, executive dude, and he had constant bowel leakage. And it was just because he was constipated. He had, poop every couple weeks. What?
Wow.
I mean, I just can't imagine, people functioning. What's wild, though, is he was fine. He was fine in every aspect of his life except for the fact that his bowels were so dirty that he was leaking. Well, this isn't normal. Now, that's an extreme case, but that's the kind of stuff that's walking around. I've got kids that come in. They've been dealing with belly pain for the last 3 years of their life, and it's just because they're constipated. And they're constipated because they have a food allergy. And we remove one of the top 5 foods off their inflammatory allergy list, and all of a sudden their bowels begin to move on their own. We add in supplements like essential fatty acids and some multi-minerals and a multivitamin to mobilize their body to function better, and their body de-stresses because it has now fuel to deal with the stress that they weren't dealing with well before, and now their body is handling the fight or flight response and calming it down. I've got young women that are going into their hormonal stage that are constipated, that have really terrible hormone issues because they are constipated. We get their bowels moving and flowing more healthily, and all of a sudden, their hormones balance out. Again, there's so much you can learn about good health when it comes to assessing the quality of your bowel flow. And we want to see you having a bowel movement first thing in the morning, between 5 and 7 in the morning. Easy things you can do. Essential fatty acids, easy thing you can do. Drink more fluids, drink more water specifically. Easy things you can do. Make sure that you're putting in more veggies into your diet. Make sure that you're managing and handling stress, and you'll see your bowels improve in function. Therefore, your liver will then detox more effectively. Your lymphatics won't carry a infectious burden, and your body will not mentally be drained by 5 o'clock or by 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 12 o'clock in the afternoon due to toxicity buildup. See, a lot of people are feeling really, I'm going to use the word crappy, because they're full of it. And so it's a check engine light. If you have symptom patterns that if you don't look at the quality of your bowels, I had a fella come in recently and found out that they were having a bowel movement every day, but the only way they could have a bowel movement every day is if they took suppositories or fleet enemas to make sure that things moved appropriately. And it was working for them, but is that the way we want, or where we have to manage some of those involuntary functions? No way, man. I don't want to have to stop my clock every day to make sure that I'm doing the work that my body is designed to do on its own, right? I mean, that doesn't logically make sense. But at the end of the day, sometimes if that's how we're learning to manage our self-care, I'd rather see those bowels move than not. Because if the dude don't move,
the dude don't groove.
The dude don't groove.
I got to show off this cool towel one more time.
Yeah, so nice. Thanks, Miss Rodriguez. That is a beautiful
towel. It's comfortable and soft. Soft on my face right here.
So other check engine lights when a person is having challenges in the bowel department is migraines. You know how many people come in and they're suffering with migraine headaches and they can't function?
Here's one thing I've always wondered. I guess because I don't get headaches often, but when I do, I'm like, oh, this is the worst. But there's some people that do deal with migraines a lot. And then I always wonder, how do they realize it's a migraine? Not just a normal headache. There's different symptoms?
Yeah, of course there is. So a headache typically comes on in several places. So if you get like a headache in the base of your skull and the back of your neck, and it feels more like a tension headache, we call those digestive headaches. They're classic. And people don't even realize that a headache comes on in a area. They just know they have a headache, right?
Yeah.
But if you start assessing your body and you start thinking, where is that thing starting? It always starts somewhere. And typically if it starts in the base of the head or in the back of the neck, it's a digestive headache. And depending on which side of the head it starts on the back is what side of the bowels are troubled. And so if it's on the right, of course, it's on the right side of your digestive system. If it's on the left, it's on the left side of your digestive system. And so if it's behind your eyes is where it starts, and they seem, because there's always a pattern. People's bodies have weak links in the chain, if you will, and these weak links in the chain cause the body to malfunction, but it shows the pattern the same each time. And so if it's behind the eyes, it's typically infection, and it's like a lymphatic congestion in what we call the high lymph system, and it shows up right behind the eyes. If it shows up in the temples or on the top of the head, it's a chemical-based headache. And these headaches oftentimes feel like a vice grip, like somebody's got you wrenched in, and you're like, oh, my head. It just feels like somebody's going to squeeze it till it explodes. Those are very painful headaches. Again, these are just headaches, though. These aren't even migraines. If it's a band of pressure around your head, like a halo, if you will, like a centrifugal force compressing equally around the entire skull, we know that that's a nutrient deficiency. That could be B vitamins. That could be different water-soluble vitamins that we can address and work with. And so it's important to know where these things start. But if it's a migraine, it typically starts out as those prior examples that I just listed, but then it evolves to a point where you want to crawl up in a cold, dark room. It starts the exact same way. Oftentimes it wraps up around the back of the skull, reaches into your eye, and plucks your little eyeball out, and it hurts like the dickens, and you just want to be in a cold, dark room because even light bothers you. A person's voice bothers you. Temperature changes bother you. And these are areas, again, that can be remedied. Those are traditionally your migraine-level headaches. Migraine-level headaches oftentimes are associated with digestion as well, and you'll oftentimes see vomiting come from a headache so bad that a person becomes nauseous that they actually vomit, and that is a very, very advanced, toxicity problem. And I can't tell you the number of cases that have come in, and it was I would say probably above 95%, Gardy, of migraine cases are all in the bowel. And I'm not going to say all of them because it's always an exception to the rule, and there's always challenges that come in that are hormone-based, or there's some other liver congestion, lymphatic issue, food allergy that sparks it. But it comes on the same way for that patient. We just listen to our patient's story, and they give us the information, and we can hear the pattern, show them the pattern, and then change the pattern. And that's what we do at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. We're puzzle solvers. You're a puzzle. We're a puzzle solver. We're going to crack your case. We're going to put you back together and help you understand why your body's breaking down, so that as it's breaking down, you can start course correcting, making better life changes so that you feel better, live better, and be better one bite at a time, through one supplement at a time, through one detox at a time, through one of the life processes that we teach at a time. And so we've got brain fog, stiff, achy joints, liver congestion, leaky gut. These are all other signs and symptoms that are coming to a head, if you will, when we're dealing with your bowels. So, again, look for the fawn-colored fluffy floaters about a foot long. Look for managing your stress, drinking more water, making sure you're eating real foods that are higher in fibers, and help your bowels move healthily. Again, hope not to offend, hope to educate and bring your body into a balanced state. So I know we're wrapping up. What's that? You got a question?
One quick question.
Yeah,
so Megan said, hey, the headaches and the migraines, she's dealing with that. What's the first step she should take to get that solved and see that light?
So number one, we want to see a food log. We want to see what the patient's eating. Number two, we want to assess how much water they're drinking. We want to look at the simple stuff because oftentimes there's triggers. And especially, we want to find out when's the pattern of the headache. Does it come on monthly? Is it like once a month, right around the period? Is it weekly, Mondays and Tuesdays? It's not just a case of the Mondays. It literally is Monday and Tuesday. They always have migraines. We want to find out the patterns, and we're going to assess them through history and conversation in our office at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. And then we're going to start looking at different conversation as we go through the history, and we're going to start hearing a pattern. We'll find a pattern, and it will either be in the liver or the bowel, oftentimes, the majority of the time. And then whenever if we go past that and we're still dealing with it, then we know that it's going to be somewhere in the high lymph system, or maybe even in the hormone department. We've got to start balancing those. But we always got to start where what we call Stephen Covey's big rocks first, the most important things that drives most powerful function. And so we look at the case by case and listen to the patterns and see where a good, healthy place is to start. But simply stated, let's just go to what we talked about in step 1. Let's remove the 3 whites. Let's remove the 4 deadly food additives. Let's get rid of the 5 inflammatory foods and do that for a month straight, like your life depends on it, and then see if that doesn't make a difference. Let's get you drinking a gallon of water a day or 32 ounces of water per 50 pounds of body weight, depending on your weight and your age and everything. And then let's get you moving. Let's get you walking. Let's get you exercising. Let's get you moving down the path, which is our 5th thing that you can do to enhance your immune system is exercise. I didn't say extra fries. I said exercise. I know some of you guys heard something else, but I just wanted to make sure that we exercise. And moving the lymphatics is important. And walking mobilizes the sacral base. It mobilizes your cerebral spinal fluid. It mobilizes your lymphatics. And it delivers oxygen to the brain. It clears up free radicals in the body. It increases the length of your neuronal axons. It improves the synaptic activity so that you become crisp and sharp. It stimulates brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is basically miracle grow for the brain. How cool is that? I want some Miracle Grow for my brain, Gardy. Do you want some Miracle Grow?
I'll take some.
Everybody else wants some Miracle Grow. Make sure you say you love, and you smile at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center and this radio station as we are moving forward and helping people, see the light, if you will. And, last thing I want to bring up is we've got a couple great things happening at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. We have extended our Zerona laser fat melting capacity not expiration date, but our promotional period. And we want to give people an opportunity to disrupt those cell membranes. We're seeing some great changes in the office. We're seeing, people's metabolisms balance out. The immune system is being more supported because fat regulates this stuff. We don't realize that fat has a value in the body. It protects or it produces hormones and proteins, and it assists the liver in processing or removing fats. So we've extended that. So if you have questions, we want to give you an opportunity to ask. So 281-554-8600, and let us help you and giving you answers to these questions. You can email us at info@justlivewell.com for more information, or just stop by, take a look at it. We'll give you a guided tour to let you kind of get some information. And so we're just excited because December 16th is right around the corner. Zerona laser price promo is going to change at that point, but we definitely are looking to just give people an opportunity to get out, to get under this laser and feel the effects and see the difference and allow their body to start, getting ready for the holiday. And we have our immune class tonight.
Tonight.
Or it's Tuesday today, right? Yeah.
It is the 27th.
So
I double checked.
Where is the month gone, my friend?
It's gone.
It is the October 27th, 6:30 p.m. at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. We have for everybody that attends, we have a promotional coupon that people get a free bottle of Congaplex for when they purchase $100 of supplements in the office. And man, going into the immune month, knowing that you're going to get into candy, you're going to get into sugars, you're going to get into things. Congaplex is the old saying that goes, when in doubt, Congaplex it out, baby. And then we got our great clinician chili cook-off on October 29th from 11 to 5. Stop by and taste some good old-fashioned chili to help us bring in the fall, bring in the change in the winter, and let's have a great experience just celebrating, community and tribal time together, knowing that you're not alone out there. We can make food taste good. We can make your taste buds sweat. We can make you feel excited about getting back in the kitchen and trying some new ideas. And that's what most people need. They just need some new ideas. So we pray that the information that we provided for you today, it just gives you some new ideas to provide to you to make better choices, to your family so that they can make better choices, and to the next generation as they integrate these lifestyle practices. Because our kids see and they do what we do. They don't necessarily do what we tell them to do. Isn't that true? And so we want to encourage people to use this information and let these 5 tips that you can improve your immune system take you onward, upward, goodward, and Godward. God bless you. Love you guys so much. And it's as always, share us, like us, and follow us on all of our social media streams: YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and of course KHEA Radio. Every week here live, we're here to answer your questions and be a part of your world.
I wonder if it'll be frowned upon if I show up on Thursday with some Fritos and some cheese.
Hey, I mean,
Frito
at the
pie.
end of the day, if it wouldn't surprise me that there will be some people that try things like that. But we've got this security system that when you bring fake food across the threshold, it just
Yeah.
obliterates right in your hands. And we know,
gone.
he was one of those guys.
Yeah.
He tried to, sneak it in.
It's not that kind of place. Not at Living Well.
That's right.
No fake food. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. Coming up next, Corey Asbury with Endless. Hallelujah. Stay tuned. All right, Facebook, y'all be good. Again, share this out. And you can also, here's one of the things, Dr. Chapa, that I think is the most important that I've seen from the years of doing KHEA. Whenever people will share this in a group, whenever they share this stream, any content that you're trying to make it get views and spread a message, share it in a group, whether that's your neighborhood group, your city group, your nutritional group, your mom group. Make sure that it's aligned with what they're wanting to see. But if you also type a description and say, this is why it's beneficial, this is what they're learning, and this is why it needs to be in here, or you just ask the admin, is this okay?
Yeah.
They'll say yes, or they'll say no, or maybe on this day, maybe not. That's one thing where we can help make this grow and spread that positivity and the message even more than we already are. So that's
I think
huge.
that is a huge, piece of advice too, because, without all of you faithful listeners and people that are tuned in, listening to our show every week, people are missing out. I mean, it just shocks me the number of people that are walking around with symptom patterns that they were not genetically born with, and there is an answer. There is something they can do right now to make their life better. And no offense, but I mean, it's up to you to help them get that information, because all life starts and stops at the cellular level, and nutrition drives that boat onward. And I want people to stay in the deep and the adventurous parts of the water, not in the shallows where it's treacherous and you might get stuck or get shipwrecked. That's not what we're after. We don't want disease. We don't want diagnoses. We want our bodies to live vibrantly every step of the way down the way. So definitely share it, like it, spread it into these small groups, and help us know which groups want this information, and put us in touch with them, man.
We'll join.
Referrals are absolutely the best way to spread positivity, grassroots efforts. So we're excited for everybody tuning in, and we'll